We got a dollar. We got a dollar. We got a dollar. Hey, 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 hey. We got a dollar. We got a dollar. We got a dollar. Hey, 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 hey.
That was the We Got a Dollar dance from the 1994 movie version of The Little Rascals. Pablo, you know who's a cameo in that movie?
Who?
The star of Home Alone 2, Donald J. Trump. Our next guest, meanwhile, is taking a look at the power and dominance of U.S. currency in his new book, titled The Almighty Dollar, 500 Years of the World's Most Powerful Money. In it, he traces the dollar's history, starting before the founding of the United States, and details the many iterations the currency has gone through over the years. Joining us now, the author of the new book, as well as a contributing editor of the Financial Times, Brendan Greeley. Brendan, congratulations on the book. Thank you for being with us this morning. We will not ask you to do that dance. But
I have to say, I can't believe this is the first time I've seen the We've Got a Dollar dance. I just spent 7 years working on a history of the dollar that goes back 500 years, and I missed that detail. So thank you for that.
Well, this is what we do here at Morning Joe, and I'll just say, hey, for the paperback version, you can insert it. So let's talk about the history of the dollar. Certainly there's, take us to the beginning. Like, why, what is the origin? Why is it the way it is today?
Well, if you start to look back at the history of the dollar, you end up with what I've started to think of as the 1776 problem. So when you start a new country, you would assume that you have what we think of as monetary sovereignty. That's the power that a country has to command its own currency, to control its own money. The problem is, in 1776, we had political sovereignty, but we didn't have a monetary sovereignty. We didn't make up our own new currency. What we did instead was say our currency is equal to the value of a foreign coin. The dollar at the time was universally understood to be a Spanish coin made out of Mexican silver with a name that came from the German. So all of the founding fathers absolutely knew what the dollar was. Alexander Hamilton called the silver dollar the ancient dollar. And in fact, I wanted to call the book the ancient dollar, but my editor said, we want to sell books, so we're going to call it the almighty dollar. So this challenge of sort of learning that America didn't have monetary sovereignty, and in fact had to claim it slowly over the next 140 years, I think that sovereignty over the dollar wasn't complete until the Great Depression and the legislation that followed it. I had to trace the almighty dollar back to its origin, which took me literally to the bottom of a 500-year-old silver mine in the Czech Republic. So the book for me is the challenge is trying to figure out how it is we take this silver coin that the founding fathers understood to be foreign money, and how it turns into a currency that we all understand as something that sits on the balance sheet of a bank that we have some control over today.
And not only that, the dominant currency, and you mentioned the Great Depression, certainly from World War II and on, I mean, it is the dollar so much as almost a symbol of American might around the globe.
Yeah, but it's important to remember that it's not a one-to-one relationship. You can't just say powerful country, powerful currency. America's currency is unique in one way, which is that all currencies now are made by banks, essentially. We don't really learn this in school. We think it's part of something that the Fed does, but what actually happens is banks, when they make loans, they create brand new dollars. So almost uniquely, the United States is willing to let foreign banks make up their own dollars. Again, this is hard to grasp if you think of money as coming from the sovereign control of the United States, but banks offshore all over the world will make loans denominated in dollars. They do not need the permission of the Fed from that. They don't need the permission of the Treasury for that. They just do it. And the United States in the 50s and the 60s decided, well, it's kind of convenient for us, for other banks to be making up their own dollars outside of America, so we're not going to stop it. And what we've done in the meantime is we've kind of started to support it. So the Federal Reserve will give temporary loans in emergencies to foreign central banks, which can then loan those dollars to their own commercial banks. No other country does this at anything close to the scale that we do it. So we allow copies of dollars abroad, and we give them kind of an implicit protection as well.
The crypto industry, when they say almighty dollar, they say it sarcastically. Yeah. What do you think of when you see of what they call fiat currency and their description of it? What does that make you think, as the guy who's been studying said fiat currency?
I don't know. Every time I talk to somebody in crypto, I often hear them say, we have to iterate on currency. We got to do lots and lots of experiments before we get it right. My answer is, my dude, we've already iterated. We've been iterating on currency for the last 4,000 years. We kind of know how it works. I think of crypto as finance as if as if the past never happened. So there are lots of different kinds of crypto. Bitcoin is a kind of a commodity. We know how commodities fit into the financial system. Other coins are they look a lot like stocks. In particular, stable coins that are designed to be pegged to the dollar 1-to-1, that's just a bank. They've got liabilities on one side. Those liabilities are denominated in dollars. They've got assets on the other side. It's important to know what those assets are. Every time a crypto guy, and it's just inevitably a guy, says to me, like, we've invented the first private money, my answer is, my dude, you have invented a bank. So what I worry about with crypto is that we know how to control banks. We know how to regulate them to make sure our dollars have value. We know how to look at the assets to make sure those assets have meaning so that our dollars have meaning. We're taking a lighter regulatory touch with stablecoins, and that worries me because before we put this regulatory scaffolding in place, banks blew up all the time. When you look at the 19th century, there were banking crises in 1819, 1837, 1857, 1873, 1893, 1907, 1932. Banks used to fail all the time, and the fact that they don't fail right now is not magic, it's regulation.
The fascinating new book, The Almighty Dollar, 500 Years of the World's Most Powerful Money, will be available starting next Tuesday, May 19th. Pick up a copy. Author and contributing editor of the Financial Times, Brendan Greeley, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, guys.